Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. We're going to keg our Dunkelweizen. It's a Chocolate Rye Dunkelweizen. We used a new yeast called Stefon from Imperial yeast, and it took off. We did a starter, we only put half the starter in, lost between a quarter to a half gallon, it just like a volcano. So we had a bit of a mess. The original gravity was 1.052, and our final gravity currently is 1.011, leaving us at 5.38% ABV. So we're going to transfer this as oxygen friendly as possible, basically to avoid oxygen, or I should say oxygen unfriendly. What you do first, and one of the easiest things, is take your CO2 from one of your kegs. I have a nice Irish stout here, and we're going to take the CO2 off of that and simply put it in the keg. You can't hear it filling, it's very quiet. You might be able to hear it, not sure, but you should hear this. That's the oxygen and other gases being released. CO2 is heavier than oxygen, so when you're filling it with pure CO2, it actually helps to purge the oxygen out of the keg. Do about one more. Okay, we should be good. Pull the CO2 off. Put it back on that lovely Irish stout. Close her up. Okay, so this is empty with the exception of we put 1 cup of warm water with a half a teaspoon of gelatin, just to kind of pull some of the yeast out of suspension. I'm not really looking for a real clear beer on this one. Also put 2 grams of ascorbic acid. Helps with any oxygen that may get in there. So I'm going to take this, verify which side it is in and which side's out. We're going to set it down here. What I did with the pump is basically, let me turn the pump on and show you. Whoop, nope, that was bad. We got water flowing through it. So put that back on there. Not a big deal. But we have water flowing. That's essentially what we're doing. And then we have this little thing that will let all the excess gas out as it fills with liquid. And we'll put that on, and you can kind of hear it releasing the extra gas. We'll take this off. Let me make sure that the camera's got a good angle where you can see this. Okay, so what we've got is we've got a small keg here. I'm simply going to put this on top. Snapped on there good. Make sure it's working. Yep, we're all good. I'll take this, drop it down here in the Dunkelweizen, and we're going to turn that pump back on. What we're waiting for is for the beer, which should be quite obvious in the camera since it's very dark, to hit the keg. And there we go. We'll take this off. Easier said than done. That fall. Move it over here. And we're going to transfer. We got a little bit of air in the line. It's mostly likely CO2, but we'll purge it just to make sure. And there we go with the pump. Dunkelweizen is now transferring from here to here. And as I like to, I can hear the gas. This will take about 2 weeks to carbonate. Move this back out of our way. Let's turn that pump off. Okay, move this over here. Pull this off here. And we'll clear up the beer in the hose real quick. Easier to clear it now and clean it later than it is to clean it later and not clear it. Okay, a little trick to try your beer early. Instead of waiting for 2 weeks for it to carbonate, and I hate the whole carb stone, I have that, or shaking. Rather just wait the 2 weeks, but I want to try a little bit now. So, very simple. Back to the CO2 gas. Verify which side is CO2. Be over here. Let's bring this keg a little closer. pump a little CO2 in there. Yes, drop it all in. Not too worried about the CO2. It'll be purged here in a moment. Put it in and there we go. Get all the way up to the little line. And we pull it. A little messy, that's okay. Pull this off to release the air. Let that liquid flow. Okay. So there we have a ½ liter of Dunkelweizen. And a small mess, which I'll clean up later. Then we have a mechanical CO2 injector called a soda stream. Electronic one, don't recommend. Reason being is it clamps and it causes it to leak. This one, you do have to screw it in, but it seals, preventing the majority of the liquid from escaping and letting the CO2 stay. Okay, so we close it up. 1, 2. Go 4. And then let it rest for a little bit. If you don't let it rest, you open it, it's like adding Mentos to Coke. It's going to go everywhere. Okay, so now we're going to get this out of our way, since that's not going to be ready for 2 weeks. And this isn't really cold. It's sitting at about 68, 70 degrees, maybe even a little warmer. But it's okay. It's a great way to get the taste and understand what we've got here. So we're going to open it up. It's going to leak a little bit. Okay, there we go. We got a little bit. Not too bad. Okay, maybe a little worse than I thought, but it's okay. Not a big deal. Cap it for a second. I know I grabbed some paper towels. I don't know where they all went. Clean that mess up. Okay. May have overcarbonated a little bit, but I'm okay with that. There we go. Slightly overcarbonated Dunkelweizen. I'm good with that. Smell a little bit of banana. Very little though. Definitely taste the clove, which seems to complement the rye really, really well. And then the chocolate is just a nice finish. So you get the rye and you get a lot of this clove right up front, and then you have that nice chocolate finish. Awesome. Even better once it's been chilled and sitting on the proper amount of carbonation for a couple weeks. That I expect to go very quickly, since I share most of my beer with quite a few people. Grain to glass. My favorite glass for Dunkelweizens. A little bit of spotting, very tiny. Kind of annoying since I know I use stuff to avoid that. Just makes it even more painful when you spend extra money just to come out with nice clean glasses. Remember, the Dunkelweizen has chocolate and rye in it. So we're going to pour a little bit here. It's a little bit overcarbonated, which we have an inner tap here, so I guess I could slow it down or speed it up quite a bit. It's not too bad. Got a little extra head, that's all. Great, great head retention for a wheat ale, which wheat definitely helps with that. And it almost looks like it's nitro. Couldn't get that on camera, but you can see the foam coming up. Beautiful dark wheat ale. A little sweet, although this one came out a bit more dry than most Dunkelweizens. I put a little bit of Amylase Enzyme to help break down the additional sugars that would be added in an extract that would not have some of the enzymes that I would have had I done an all grain and did a little bit more step mashing. Uses the same yeast that we had in our Hefeweizen, although on this one, trying to remember, Stefon, which we used a slightly different Hefeweizen yeast called Stefon from Imperial. It's first time ever using that yeast. We lost probably between a half gallon to almost a gallon of this stuff from a volcanic explosion from fermentation. It was going, it looked like it had started to peak. I thought I was good. I went to bed. I woke up the next morning. Fermenter was full of sticky Dunkelweizen everywhere. Smelled a little more of the banana than I did on the Hefeweizen. Maybe a tiny bit of clove. Not sure if the bubbles are hiding everything or what. Or the rye maybe covering a little bit, and the chocolate. I like both very much. Rye's a little spice, chocolate's, well, it's chocolate. Everybody loves chocolate, almost, but hey, most people. Okay. About a week ago, I took a little sip of each one. I tried the Dunkelweizen, felt it needed a little age, a little more. The Hefeweizen came out fine, aged very, very well, very quickly. Had only been in here, I think, going on 3 weeks now, maybe a little longer. But the Dunkel definitely still needs to age, probably another week or two, probably 2 if I had to guess, although I was wrong with the Hef because the Hef tasted amazing. A little darker. Don't let a dark beer fool you. Just because it's dark doesn't mean it's heavy. There are heavy stouts. There are stouts that really aren't that heavy. There's porters. There's Schwarzbier, which is a dark lager. Very light usually. Got hints of chocolate usually. Very light. I love them. I've only brewed, I think, 1 or 2 in the past 5 years. Definitely looking to brew another one. But this will come out to be a really, really great beer once it's had a little more time to age. A lot of times you'll have a beer that comes out and you go, wow, it's great. And you'll have a beer that comes out that you go, I'm not so sure about that one, although your friends may think it's great. And you let it age. Sometimes you forget about it. You leave it sitting for, if it's in a bottle, sometimes 3-4 months. And you go back and you try it and you go, oh my God, this is really good. I just had to let it sit for a little, just kind of age. It allows some of those off flavors that may be from the yeast or other things to kind of either lightly ferment out if it's bottle carbonating, bottle conditioned per se, or to just simply fall out of suspension and let the beer kind of mature a little more. I know that sounds strange. It's not a wine. It's not a hard liquor, but beers do have kind of a little maturity. IPAs, you don't want to let them mature too much. You'll lose the bitterness in the hops. But a lot of other beers, especially darker beers, and stouts and very high alcohol ABV, such as triples, age beautifully. Sometimes 2-3 years, sometimes longer, sometimes a little less. There is a point where aging's probably not going to help them anymore, and they're going to go downhill. But don't be surprised. You find a beer and you go, I don't care for it that much. And you made it and you feel kind of like, oh my God, I made, a gallon, 5 gallons, 10 gallons, whatever. Let your friends try it. Give it a few weeks and try it again. You might be shocked. It may have changed drastically. Again, thank you for joining us here on Bitter Reality Brewing. Don't forget to hit the like if you found it entertaining. You just want to show some appreciation. You're a fellow brewer. Anything like the above, hit subscribe. We would love that. Appreciate it very much. Thank you again and look forward to brewing many, many more beers.